Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Hmm. Call me. Actually, don't call me. Oh, that's a cute baby. Thank
What are
you.
you
Yeah.
doing?
Oh, I'm just accepting my award. I'm practicing accepting my award for Nobel Peace Prize, actually.
How did you get one of those?
Oh, yeah, I got it because I did not play J.I.D's DiCaprio 2 out loud. Didn't want to set the neighborhood on fire, so.
First off, that's scientifically impossible. Second off, why would they give you one for that?
Well, because obviously I'm a humanitarian by saving many lives, including my own, with no regard for my own life. Okay.
Wait. There's a JID album out?
Yes, there's a new J.I.D. album out. Came out on the 26th of November. Where you been? Come on. You with the program.
I'm gonna sacrifice our neighborhood now.
So I guess you're not gonna get a Nobel Peace Prize then. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Please give me all the applause. It feels great. J.I.D. has dropped DiCaprio 2. He dropped it on November 26th, and it's got 14 tracks on it. The burgeoning star, talented lyricist, amazing rapper has come out with his sophomore album, and now in album Odyssey, we're going to take a dive into it. So, throughout DiCaprio 2, the beats on here characterize or personify certain situations with which J.I.D. is already illustrating in his lyrics. For example, Off the Zoinkies features a somber piano that serves to emphasize the very frustration and confliction that is torturing J.I.D. as he tries to help his friends get off drugs but not impose his will too much. Off These, conversely, features a very fast, breathless beat of which J.I.D. and J. Cole race over excitedly. Or Slick Talk has a very cocky and arrogant vibe. Or even Westbrook, which has a very eerie, intense atmosphere that feels powerful in the way that it strikes you with the guitars and bells. Throughout all this, though, J.I.D's flow is important to note. While it does reflect his name and the very jittery style it has, it's controlled chaos, and he loads his machine gun syllables and fires them out in a perfect kind of rhyme scheme that always comes out great for the song that he's trying to do. And with it, it makes for a really enjoyable sound altogether. J.I.D. does feature certain switches here and there with his voice and likes to do certain different things in terms of songs or singing or adding verses and almost interrupt himself in certain ways. It's a really cool thing that he does, and I think it's almost kind of unique to him. It's similar to like artists that do little switch ups like that, but I really like the way that J.I.D. does it. Overall, though, I would say that this album is sonically sound. Favorite songs? We have Off These featuring J. Cole, which is J.I.D. and J. Cole just having the most fun of their lives. J. Cole bringing the aggression while J.I.D. brings the speed and frenetic pace that really fuel this track. Next to the infectious get off my dick, edible, and the fact that it's an adrenaline rush. This song is a literal adrenaline rush, and it is one of the more fun ones. And though I expressed initial disappointment in it, I really have come to enjoy it after 100,000 repeats of the song. Following Off These, there's Westbrook, which has this very intense but powerful energy to it, and it basically reflects NBA player Russell Westbrook, who has that same thunderous vibe to him. When he goes into the lane, relentlessly powering through defenders, about to cram the ball down the poor net's throat for the 30th time in that game, you feel that same energy in this song. It is incredible. ASAP Ferg's "Get your change up!" Like, you just start to feel, and the guitar just it starts to charge you up. Westbrook with J.I.D's fire flame freaking lyrics, and then you have just the ASAP Ferg chorus and the beat. Oh my, it is fire. Westbrook, powerful. Following up the intense adrenaline rush filled atmosphere of both Off These and Westbrook, we have a more somber song. Off the Zoinkies is a song that I really appreciate for the rawness and the fact that through his lyrical pleas, you have J.I.D. trying to reach out to his friends and get them off of drugs that may potentially ruin their lives. And I'm sure this was definitely influenced by the unfortunate passing of Mac Miller. And though the confliction definitely does remain a constant for J.I.D., I think the fact that he's trying in his own way to combat this, and I'm sure even talk to fans in a way, is pretty powerful. So Off the Zoinkies is another favorite of mine. Slick Talk is both cocky and arrogant, and I love it because J.I.D. is just literally talking his shit with no filter whatsoever. He even states immediately that you better be taking this as a diss because it's exactly what it is. This side of J.I.D. is one of the more fun sides that we get to witness in DiCaprio 2. I just love Slick Talk. It's so cool. It's badass. Last three will be a bit rapid fire as I don't have too much to say about them, but Hotbox featuring Method Man and Joey Badass are a bar for bar fest between J.I.D., Joey, and Method Man. It's almost like these two generations colliding in a cool way as they talk about their different adventures with marijuana, but also their confidence and swagger. The fact that this track just drips swagger, my God. We also have Despacito 2, which is J.I.D. recounting how his occupation was not exactly one of which would garner the most support, in the fact that people didn't think it was realistic, but here he is, sophomore album, rapping about that very thing. Strawberries is sort of a feminist song, which definitely focuses on empowering women to do their own thing, and J.I.D. trying to do what he can to support them in their endeavors. These are all of my favorite songs, like I said. Get your red hot lyrics here, fresh off the oven, fresh out the fire emoji gates. We got my favorite lyrics from DiCaprio 2. Something no one ever done seen. Bitch, I dunked a 3. Ashton Kutcher who's punking me. J.I.D. the butcher who want the beef. Not only does he perfectly illustrate something that is impossible and compares it to how he can overcome that, and it only will serve to shock you because J.I.D. has the utmost confidence in himself. He's also not afraid of anyone. He is taking on all challengers while also being a challenger and a rising star. That is such a dope line. Game in a wedding gown, she gave me the ring, say yes and vow for forever now on the honeymoon, getting naked now on the money pile doing doggy style. Not only is J.I.D. a connoisseur of words, but he was able to entice the rap game itself, not having to attract it. And basically this can be summed up in the famous words, the thug life chose me. In the same way here, the rap game chose J.I.D., not the other way around. And then not on top of that, he also illustrates the fact that he's having intercourse over money. So even though he's in the middle of success, he's still having success on top of that success. His success is consistently piling on top of one another, and he hasn't even really started to try yet. And that is pretty scary because he's very young and he's gonna be dropping more music. And I don't know if my headphones are gonna be able to handle the flames of which are exiting his orifice, namely the one that produces audio. Jesus Christ, Jid. Jesus Christ. I ain't tripping, I ain't saying this wrong, but it's some other shit we could be on. That is the end of Off the Zoinkies, in which J.I.D. perfectly encapsulates the feelings that he has. He's not trying to hate on his friends enjoying drugs of different varieties, but he feels as though their lives could be improved by seeking other ways of elevating. And in this, he kind of just tries his best to explain that to them without seeming like he's being an authoritarian figure in their lives instead of their friend. Because when anybody's like kind of going through anything or has a certain activity that may or may not kind of consume their entire life, as a friend you almost feel not necessarily like a parent, but you feel kind of responsible in showing them other ways and other habits that they can pick up in order to still get that same fulfillment in their life. So this struggle is pretty relatable as far as it goes with J.I.D and Off the Zoinkies. Go to the grave, and it's been like that since the slave boy. It ain't shit to pull up, pick the fucking tool up, screaming hallelujah, pushing daisies and some tulips. Off these J.I.D, part of his intro verse. This is a cool depiction of something that's pretty sinister. If you think about it, hallelujah usually it refers to a situation in which something positive has happened, and it's usually a religious connotation, though nowadays we kind of use it for other things, but we use them in a context that still technically is religious, because usually we're like, oh my god, it's a miracle, hallelujah that this happened. Not necessarily are you always in church. Here J.I.D paints the picture of someone shooting up everything, because pushing daisies is talking about death, and then saying like, oh, it ain't nothing to literally kill a bunch of people while screaming hallelujah. So it paints this wild picture of just like someone going hallelujah as they just kill all these people. It's pretty sinister and messed up, but in this adrenaline rush filled song, it just sounds epic. Be realistic. I've been trying to get in touch with my senses and be better to my sisters, but niggas think that you feminine when you sensitive. Strawberries, J.I.D again. Here he talks about the fact that the outdated toxic masculinity is still prevailing in certain aspects of his life, and people around him don't necessarily approve of him trying to be more in touch with his senses. And this can be for a plethora of reasons, like I said, not including toxic masculinity, which is the core part of it, but the fact that people and society have driven this idea for a long time, and overcoming that kind of takes acceptance of the fact that to be a man does not mean to not feel. In fact, it can be the other way around, and until we as an entire society continually embrace that and consistently drive home that point, it'll be a while before it is a major switch. However, this shows that times are changing, and hopefully for the better. Oh, you gonna be a rapper with your dumb ass? The irony of this line from Despacito 2 by J.I.D is that J.I.D is portraying a teacher responding to a younger J.I.D, probably when he was a kid, and looking at him with almost not disdain, but kind of just, that's silly, that won't work out, that doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. And basically this challenge of the teacher is almost imposed onto J.I.D, and J.I.D uses it to make light of the fact of how ironic it is, because now he's on his sophomore album with success coming in and most likely only going to be going up from here. It's just cool for him to be recounting that in a way of using the character of a teacher and using that mocking tone that seemed to imply that it would never mean anything, and now J.I.D simply proved them wrong. And it's really cool to see it for J.I.D, and hopefully when people listen to this song and they hear that, they reflect in the fact that I'm sure other people have responded to what they may do as something that's not viable for immediate success. Some of these things have lesser, qualities than other things. Like obviously being a doctor is different from being a creative, but a creative can impact people in different ways. And I think it's important to remember that certain occupations, while not maybe literally saving lives, can always have an impact on someone. And sometimes all you need to do is make an impact, and helping people believe in themselves really is significant, especially for the upcoming generation and the generations that follow. Every generation that follows, you want them to be better than the next one. So you gonna be a rapper with your dumb ass? Favorite lyrics are done. However, I wanted to talk about the outro on Working Out because I thought it was pretty funny. Though the comedy is clearly there, I think it does talk about an underlying point of people trying to leech off of people's success or expecting them to act in a certain fashion just because they have garnered a certain amount of financial wealth. With J. Cole and the way that they roast him on here, courtesy of Zach Fox, who's a pretty funny dude, He talks about how J. Cole looks like he's basically asking for people's chargers or looking homeless. And the thing that it's pointing at is the fact that J. Cole is really successful. And though he doesn't lend himself to the expectation of what a successful person looks like, it's better to not judge, and it's better to not try to make someone spend that money. It's better to still be frugal about that money and stick to yourself and not necessarily change your image. You should retain who you are regardless of the success that may or may not follow you during your popularity, because that's how you lose yourself. And the danger in losing yourself is that it's hard to remember who you were once you put on a mask. Try to keep the mask off in the future. Overall, DiCaprio 2 is an exciting, flaming look into the world of J.I.D. As he meditates on the fame that is starting to exhaust him, he also retains hope for the future. He keeps confidence in his craft, but still remains down to earth, while his verses refuse to do anything but stay elevated. And this project will definitely be on repeat. Get your Oscar, J.I.D. Get your Oscar. Well, this guy says, I didn't know there could be two DiCaprios, because if there could be two DiCaprios, that means there's a cloning machine. If there's a cloning machine, I need it for scientific purposes. Stop looking at me like that.